Hi, it's Anne-Marie from Sound Live Therapy again. Thank you for watching and for everybody that's liking my videos and new subscribers. I don't know where to start today. There's kind of so much and it's so all over the place. I guess we start today with all of this that is happening to do with It Ends With Us and the lawsuit and the repercussions of it now. I mean, I think what we've already seen from Blake and from Ryan is like clear evidence that, and it's true with all narcissists and people like this with narcissistic traits, is it doesn't matter who gets hurt in the process. They don't care who they bring into it. They don't care about the repercussions for that person's life or their livelihood or whatever. It's this very clear mentality of whether I'm right or wrong, I get my own way. That's the only way this works out, and I don't care what happens in the process of doing that. That's kind of how strong the ethos is. And that's what we're seeing now. So it's seeming like, well, it's more than seeming like, it's clearly obvious that the PR team, Justin's PR team, so people such as Melissa Nathan and Jen Abel, and other people maybe that we don't know whose names about, but that are within that lawsuit, have been getting the most horrendous and terrific threats through their phones and through various other media. And now we've got this story about Steve Sarowitz, the billionaire founder of Wayfair Films and the foundation, which has now gone under as well as a result of all this. Although I wonder if there's something strategic there to do with the foundation. I think they're probably having to think carefully about what things look like, what they have to do, what it's going to look like going forward. Is it a rebranding thing? And I think it's probably just they don't want the work that they're trying to do being sullied by everything that's going on to do with the lawsuit, because obviously the name Wayfarer is never going to be the same again after all of this. But that's kind of it, isn't it? Like all of these repercussions. And I have to admit, I am very suspicious about the Steve Sarowitz thing, because some of it is the language. You see, as well as being a hypnotherapist, I'm a writer and I'm also very intuitive, and I tend to just make connections sometimes, and that's useful in my work, because part of being the kind of hypnotherapist I am is you kind of do have to make connections and you have to be a detective. But what I say here is just a feeling more than anything, but that this person, this Eduardo Aragon, that's kind of targeted Steve Sarowitz and his family, and he's had Steve Sarowitz's number, he's had Steve Sarowitz's wife's number and the daughter's number, so he can, threaten them with extortion and the rest of it, and kidnapping. But I was kind of interested with the language. It was such an unusual messages that was coming through. But what I found really interesting was how he kept using ruin the lives, which I feel like we've kept seeing all over the lawsuit, which was interesting. And he also said, if you're prepared to ruin the lives of Ms. Lively and her family, and I think that my little spidey senses were going, oh, that's really specific kind of language. It's deferential. Because would you not just say Blake Lively or that actress? Or so I'm guessing it could just be that he is like a super fan of Blake's or a super fan of Deadpool's, or he's very deferential. But I found that really interesting, because it's almost like the language you would kind of use if you were in somebody's employ or, in some way. And I'm not saying that is the case. Obviously, I have to cover myself, but I just found that really interesting. And I really hope the FBI or whatever body is involved really, really looks into this thing, because I found that fascinating. If you go back and go to people like Without a Crystal Ball, she's a good one, or maybe Colonel Kurtz or one of those that will go through it step by step and just listen to the language that is being used there by this guy, Eduardo Aragon, when he's extorting Steve Sarowitz. I found that very interesting and telling. Maybe I read into things too deeply, but this idea of, if you're prepared to ruin the lives of Ms. Lively and her family, because even the Ms., it's very specific. It's like, that is how I want you to address me. Am I being just suspicious? Drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. But part of the reason all of this information is widely out there is because, like I said at the beginning, Blake and Ryan do not care about the repercussions for everybody else. They only care about the repercussions for themselves. Because they've made sure that their information is protected. They've gone to court, they've kind of waived their rights about being sued in person, and they've agreed, like, their attorneys or their representatives will accept the summons or whatever. And I guess that's, you know, for most people, like, if you're trying to dodge a summons or a subpoena or whatever, the beauty in it having to go to you is that you can duck and dive, can't you? And, you know, you can kind of, you know, what summons? I wasn't summoned, you know, I didn't get it, you know, you can do that. So waive the right, I guess, is them saying, oh no, we will accept that subpoena, that summons, but just send it to my lawyer. So they protected themselves, but the other people on the other side of it that were willing to be just served in person, that didn't do that thing of going to court, Blake and Ryan and their side have no compunction about releasing all of their private, all of the other side's private information, phone numbers, addresses. I mean, how else would you get a billionaire in Highland Park specific address? You know, they've risked Jed Wallace's life. They put Justin in hospital for starters with a spinal infection, didn't they, due to all the stress. And as somebody that's been on the end of narcissistic abuse, I mean, when I was going through that thing, it put me out for a month. There was like 5 weeks where I just couldn't work, couldn't do anything, because I just got wiped out by this virus. So I know what it's like to be on the end of that. You just get drained completely. So they did that to Justin. Poor Jed Wallace's heart condition flared up. Got accused of sexual harassment when he'd never met Blake Lively. I think that was just an accident on Blake Lively's part. She just forgot her story entirely, and they were trying to rush out that original CRD complaint. I think that was the problem there, that they just were a bit like loose with the details, a bit loosey-goosey. But yeah, what makes me laugh about this case is, if you're a bit of a YouTube fanatic, there's a couple that do like music reaction videos. Is it Terry and Kanisha? And they always make me laugh when they do Taylor Swift, because they have to get out a dictionary to read some of the words or the phrases that Taylor uses. And it so tickles me. They're so funny with it. But I feel like that over this case, that I'm having to kind of go and Google legal terms now and find out what that's all about. So the latest one was doxing. I had to go and read upon what doxing is, and that's kind of getting people's information out there that is private and confidential, and more or less making sure anybody and everybody has it. So they've literally endangered people's lives through all of this. I mean, threatening to kidnap somebody's daughter and things like that. But I just find that entirely suspicious. I want some FBI NLP language specialist to go and analyse that guy's messages and how he worded these things, because I think it's very specific, this use of ruin the lives of. That to me kind of, and because he uses it about 3 times, so to me it's almost something that's practiced or coached or something. And the use of Ms. Lively, it's very interesting. And kind of while we're talking about NLP, and while I am a hypnotherapist, I do some NLP, but I'm not like, NLP master or anything. But I just happened across the clip again today of Blake on Seth Meyers. And I was just looking at where her eyes were going, because with NLP, we're very much looking at how you visually store and remember things. So whether your eyes go upwards, whether they go to your ears, whether they go down, and that's whether you're accessing visual things, whether you're more auditory based or more feelings based. And I just happened to catch a clip, and I'm presuming that the camera's not reflected or anything like that, but Blake was looking down and to the right a lot, which to me, looking to the right is usually when you're kind of imagining or you're kind of projecting into the future, and what will that feel like when you're looking down. It's feelings that you base. So I was watching it, and it was while she was talking about being this kind of advocate for women and young girls, and this business of, you know, kind of, you know, I can be the voice for them or whatever. So I found it very interesting that she was looking down and to her right, and I'm thinking it's like she's trying to feel what that would feel like, and she's trying, it's almost like an acting thing, because it's stepping into that creative future projecting side of your mind that's going, what would that look like? So to me, that's kind of telling from the point of view, she is kind of acting this thing. She is, what would that look like? What would that feel like if I could really feel that or be that? Knowing Blake, she's probably picturing what outfit she would be wearing while she's doing that. She might even be picturing herself when she's finally free to talk about her experience as a survivor of SH. She's probably thinking, what outfit would I be wearing while I'm stood behind a podium, or when I'm getting the next award, you know, or she's possibly thinking that. But am I getting a bit mean with that? I don't know, but I just did find it interesting to watch where her eyes was going and what that might mean. And then we've got, do you know, I think what's lovely about Bryan Freedman, and I'm not saying that he's this like perfect person and that all his motives are honourable or anything like this, but I think why we're all kind of responding to him, that are kind of following this case, is that it's like the kindly father that we'd kind of all like to have. Not Blake Lively, obviously, but just in terms of, he only pops up every once in a blue moon to say something, but when he does, you feel completely reassured. You know, because it's like when I started this thing, I had no clue that I'd be just still talking about it all these months later. It just kind of captivated me, the David and Goliathness of it all, or the Daniel in the lion's den. You know, a Daniel's in the lion's den, and he just kind of, most people would be going in there afraid of the death and what that would feel like, and the horror of it all, and the pain and all of that, and Daniel just stands there calmly and is safe among the lions, isn't he? And I feel like that's what Bryan Freedman represents to all of us that have got invested in this case, because there's been this article in People magazine, and people are all going, well, don't expect People to be great journalism, you know, it basically just puts out what the celebrity's point of view is, so it's not without conflict or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, kind of Blake's side of things, this Mike Gottlieb is saying, oh yes, you know, Blake's going to testify, and of course she will, and the thing is, well, it's a civil case, she probably can't get out of testifying, it's not really a choice, you know, she's brought complaints against people, she has to put her point of view across, so you can't really present it to us as, oh yeah, she's so strong in the truth of what she's saying that she's more than willing to testify about it. The girl has to testify about it, because to all intents and purposes, it doesn't look like she has any evidence. So she has to testify anyway, even if she wasn't forced to. But I just found it very, very interesting how Bryan comes out and it's like, oh great, she wants to testify. Let's live stream it at Madison Square Garden, and we'll give all the proceeds to DV survivors. And the thing is, yes, it's a little bit funny and a little bit naughty, but it's also very, very reassuring. And how he chips in every so often and keeps saying there's more than what you know as well. You know, it's kind of like somebody coming along and saying, don't worry, I've got it, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about what's being said. Don't worry about what this hand's doing over there. We're okay, we're in hand over here. Yes, so it's a good job there's some light relief in all of this, because when you're talking about things like people's lives being put in danger and horrible things being said to people, I mean, I've had that done to me. You know, like with the best will in the world, I really try my hardest to help people, and I've been accused of being grandiose, of all kinds of things, you know, personally, professionally. I've been on the end of that narcissistic thing where it's almost like being stalked. People that are like that will come at you from every angle they can. You shut them down. It's like baby reindeer. It literally is. You shut them down one place, they'll pop up in another place, or they'll show up on your door, or they'll get you on your website's contact page. And it's absolutely exhausting. And that's why you get sick off the back of it, because your immune system just takes a massive hit because your mind is full of all this crap. So we need Bryan Freedman to come along every once in a while and just give us a bit of real light relief and tell us everything's going to be okay. And also kind of it does help to neutralise the hate of it all as well. Because my only concern is, like, you know, the people that are Team Baldoni don't go hateful on Blake and Ryan and that side of things, and don't get like really critical about their appearance or trying to shame them, or, you know, don't get pity, don't get like mean, don't get like hateful about it all beyond Team Justice or Team Justin, you know. Don't lose yourself in all of it is what I'm saying. I mean, what I find myself doing occasionally, because I am very empathetic, so sometimes to offset some of this that I hear, and because I'm a Capricorn as well, we tend to get a grrr when it comes to justice and doing what's right and all of that. So because I don't want these feelings building up in me about getting angry about Blake and Ryan and what they are and aren't getting away with, sometimes what I'll do is just go and watch Marvel reactions videos of people, you know, like, because it kind of reminds you what happens as a community when we get behind things. And it reminds us that we are individuals, you know, Blake and Ryan and all of that. And believe you me, they will not be together on this behind the scenes. There is a divorce coming, for sure. Maybe a couple of years down the line for that. There's no way they're staying together. But where you fall apart as a human being is when you live as an ego. So that thing of, I am right, I don't care who gets hurt, I don't care that I'm wrong, I get what I want. That's when you live as an individual, ego mind-based person. And there will always be enemies and always wrongdoers when you live like that. But when you live from a point of view of we're all interconnected and we're all part of a community, so what affects one affects the other, then you never feel alone. You never feel under attack. You never feel defenseless, or whatever you want to call it, because you always feel safe and secure. And Marvel's reaction videos, funnily enough, remind me of that, you know, like when they all jump. Although I was watching yesterday like old ones from when people had first seen The Sixth Sense and the big reveal at the end, and I was crying along with them, you know. But it's just that thing of being one mind, one voice, one set of feelings, community, connection, shared experiences. So if you are following all the Blake and Ryan and all of that, and you find yourself getting really angry and really het up about it and really cross about the injustice of it all, just do go offset it with something that reminds you that we are all in this together, that when we work together, when we do loving actions for each other, when we think of each other and make each other known that they're not in it on their own and all of this, that's how you can offset that. And you don't get so wrapped up in this thing that you're just getting really angry, because that's not helpful to you. Do always check out the description boxes on my videos, because there's always free resources in there. I have a free limitless life hypnosis audio you can access. I've got my free Facebook group where there's a trauma and anxiety workshop as well. I think I'll put all kinds of details in there for you. Every video of mine, there's always lots of free stuff in there. My regular day-to-day work is as a hypnotherapist and a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, but I also do write romance novels as well as another string to my bow. I always think you should have more than one dream in this life. But thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share, and drop me a comment because I'd love to hear your own thoughts on this. Okay, see you later.